Over the years, the film industry has gone through many, many changes. Studios have fallen apart, and new ones have taken their place. Generations of actors have come and gone. Genres have gone back and forth in popularity. The ways in which people watch movies have drastically changed. Most notably, what movies have been allowed to do has changed. A defining characteristic of an old movie is that there is no cursing or vulgar language, and no graphic violence or gore. It's not that these movies were wholesome, it's that they didn't include any actions or language that could be deemed inappropriate. Filmmakers from 1969 until now have been able to make films about whatever they want, however they want. This is great because so many incredible films would not have been made if the codes were still in place. However, a lot of classic films have come out of the golden age as well, such as Casablanca, and even more films that are underappreciated. So here, I present 10 films from Hollywood's golden age that are underrated. She Done Him Wrong, 1933. She Done Him Wrong is often overshadowed by other classics of the era, but it's one of the boldest and most unapologetically daring films to emerge from pre-code Hollywood. Starring the incomparable Mae West as the sultry nightclub singer Lady Lou, the film showcases West's unparalleled wit, charm, and confidence in a time when female characters were often sidelined or overly sanitized. The film's success was pivotal in launching Cary Grant's career, allowing him to showcase his comedic talent early on. It also cemented Mae West as a trailblazing icon in Hollywood. Despite being a box office hit at the time, She Done Him Wrong is often left out of conversations about groundbreaking films. Its fearless exploration of feminine confidence and witty double entendres make it one of classic Hollywood's most underrated gems. The Awful Truth, 1937. The Awful Truth is a standout example of screwball comedy. The film pairs Cary Grant and Irene Dunne in a sparkling comedy about a couple, Jerry and Lucy Warner, navigating a messy divorce while constantly sabotaging each other's new romantic pursuits. What makes this film so special and underrated is its natural, almost improvisational energy. McCary encouraged Grant and Dunn to ad-lib much of their dialogue, resulting in a playful, organic chemistry that feels authentic and spontaneous. The film is filled with perfectly timed physical comedy and quick-witted banter, hallmarks of screwball comedy that were executed to perfection here. Cary Grant's physical humor, especially in scenes where he clumsily reacts to Lucy's antics, is some of the best in his career. Beyond its humor, the film cleverly subverts the conventions of romantic comedies. While it presents itself as a lighthearted battle of the sexes, it also delivers sharp insights into relationships, trust, and forgiveness. The movie won the Academy Award for Best Director for Leo McCarey and was nominated for Best Picture. But it still doesn't get the recognition it deserves today. Its sophisticated comedy and groundbreaking approach to improvisation make it a hidden treasure of Hollywood's golden era. Bell, Book and Candle, 1958. Released in 1958, Bell, Book and Candle is a whimsical romantic fantasy that never quite received the recognition it deserved. Starring James Stewart and Kim Novak, fresh off their pairing in Alfred Hitchcock's Vertigo, the film offered something entirely different. A playful, magical love story set against the beatnik backdrop of Greenwich Village. Stewart plays Shep Henderson, a publisher unknowingly enchanted by his quirky neighbor, Gillian Holroyd, Novak, who happens to be a modern-day witch. Gillian casts a love spell on Shep to steal him away from his fiancée, but finds herself falling for him for real. What makes Bell, Book and Candle so underrated is how ahead of its time it was. The film blends romance, fantasy, and comedy effortlessly, capturing the enchanting and bohemian energy of 1950s Greenwich Village. Novak's performance as Gillian is both seductive and vulnerable, offering a refreshing take on the witch archetype. Stewart, stepping outside of his usual everyman roles, brings warmth and humor to the story. Mildred Pierce, 1945. Mildred Pierce is one of the most gripping and emotionally charged films to come out of the golden age of Hollywood. Released in 1945 and directed by Michael Curtis, the film stars Joan Crawford in what would become the defining role of her career. After being abandoned by her unfaithful husband, Mildred Pierce is determined to build a successful life for herself and her 2 daughters. Through sheer determination, she rises from being a humble waitress to owning a chain of successful restaurants. But success comes with a price, and that price is her toxic, manipulative daughter, Veda, played by Anne Blythe. Veda is the epitome of entitlement and selfishness, constantly belittling her mother for working, criticizing her lack of wealth, and mocking her social status. No matter how hard Mildred works to give Veda the life she desires, it's never enough. This deeply strained mother-daughter relationship becomes even more complex when Mildred's second husband is murdered, plunging her into a police investigation and forcing her to confront the consequences of her sacrifices. Joan Crawford's performance earned her the Academy Award for Best Actress, a well-deserved win for a role that revitalized her career. The film was also nominated for 5 other Oscars, including Best Picture. Mildred Pierce masterfully blends family drama with the dark, moody atmosphere of film noir, exploring themes of ambition, class, and the destructive power of maternal love. It's a haunting portrait of how social pressures and family expectations can push someone to the edge, making it one of the most unforgettable and underrated classics of the Golden Era. Arsenic and Old Lace, 1944. Arsenic and Old Lace, 1944, is a dark comedy classic that perfectly balances macabre humor with lighthearted farce. Directed by the legendary Frank Capra and starring the ever-charming Cary Grant, this film takes a hilariously twisted look at family dysfunction. Grant plays Mortimer Brewster, a drama critic known for his disdain for marriage, until he suddenly falls in love and marries his sweetheart, Elaine Harper, Priscilla Lane. When Mortimer returns home to share the happy news with his 2 sweet, elderly aunts, Abby and Martha Brewster, he discovers a chilling family secret. His beloved aunts have been quietly poisoning lonely old men and burying them in the basement. The comedy intensifies with the addition of Mortimer's delusional Uncle Teddy, who believes he's Theodore Roosevelt, and his homicidal brother Jonathan, played by Raymond Massey, who returns home with his own sinister plans. The bulk of the movie takes place in the Brewster family's cozy living room, where the absurdity of the situation spirals completely out of control. Cary Grant delivers one of his most exaggerated and physically comedic performances, reacting with wide-eyed panic to every bizarre family revelation. Though the film didn't win any major awards, Arsenic and Old Lace is celebrated as one of the best dark comedies of all time. Fun trivia. The film was actually completed in 1941, but wasn't released until 1944 because of contractual obligations to the Broadway play it was based on. Its perfect mix of slapstick humor, witty dialogue, and sinister charm makes it an essential and often underrated film from the golden age of Hollywood. Even decades later, it remains a hilarious and masterful example of how to make murder funny. Invasion of the Body Snatchers, 1956. The original Invasion of the Body Snatchers is a groundbreaking science fiction horror film that deserves as much recognition as its 1978 remake starring Donald Sutherland. Directed by Don Siegel, the film is a chilling allegory of the political paranoia that gripped America during the Cold War, particularly the widespread fear fueled by McCarthyism and the Red Scare. These societal anxieties are masterfully woven into the film's narrative, making it a timeless and thought-provoking piece of cinema. Set in a small California town, the story follows Dr. Miles Bennell, played by Kevin McCarthy, who begins to notice something disturbingly wrong with his patients. They are convinced that their friends and family members have been replaced by emotionless imposters. As Miles investigates, he uncovers a terrifying truth. Alien plant-like creatures are replicating human beings, replacing them with soulless duplicates. These invaders aim to quietly take over Earth, mirroring the era's fear of hidden enemies infiltrating American society. The film's portrayal of fear, conformity, and loss of individuality powerfully reflects the anxiety of discovering that trusted people could secretly be threats. Invasion of the Body Snatchers remains a masterful blend of sci-fi and social commentary, resonating with audiences across generations. The Killers, 1946. The Killers is film noir at its absolute finest, a gripping, dark, and suspenseful story that perfectly embodies the genre. Directed by Robert Siodmak and based on Ernest Hemingway's short story, the film takes Hemingway's brief narrative and expands it into a richly complex crime thriller. The story begins with two hitmen walking into a small-town diner, looking for a man known as the Swede, Burt Lancaster, in his film debut. Shockingly, the Swede doesn't resist when they come to kill him, leaving behind a mystery that begs to be unraveled. Enter insurance investigator Jim Reardon, Edmund O'Brien, who becomes obsessed with uncovering why the Swede accepted his death so passively. His investigation reveals a tangled web of crime, betrayal, and manipulation. At the center of it all is the irresistible Kitty Collins, Ava Gardner, the quintessential femme fatale who seduces the Swede and leads him into a doomed bank robbery orchestrated by a cold-blooded mastermind. The Killers has every element that makes noir unforgettable: shadowy cinematography, morally ambiguous characters, and a hauntingly fatalistic narrative. Burt Lancaster's brooding portrayal of the doomed Swede and Ava Gardner's seductive, dangerous charm make for an unforgettable pairing. The film was nominated for 4 Academy Awards, including Best Director and Best Film Editing. Trivia: Ernest Hemingway was reportedly impressed with the film adaptation, saying it was the only Hollywood version of his work that he actually liked. The Killers remains a must-watch for any noir fan, offering suspense, seduction, and the devastating consequences of misguided love. Indiscreet, 1958. Indiscreet, 1958, is a delightful romantic comedy that thrives on the electric chemistry between Ingrid Bergman and Cary Grant. Directed by Stanley Donen, the film showcases a lighter side of Bergman, who was best known for her dramatic roles. For Bergman, this was her first foray into comedy, and she shines with effortless elegance and charm. Bergman plays Anna Kalman, a successful and sophisticated actress living in London, who has all but given up on love. That is, until she meets the dashing Philip Adams, Cary Grant, a charming diplomat who sweeps her off her feet. Their romance seems perfect, until Anna discovers that Philip is not exactly the committed bachelor he claims to be. What unfolds is a playful dance of love, deception, and witty banter, all set against the glamorous backdrop of London high society. The film stands out for its clever script and stylish direction, blending romance and comedy seamlessly. Cary Grant, well known for his impeccable comedic timing, and Ingrid Bergman, stepping into comedy with grace, are simply delightful to watch. Their chemistry is natural and captivating, making every scene a joy. Though Indiscreet wasn't a massive awards contender, it was nominated for Golden Globes and BAFTA awards for its screenplay and performances. Trivia lovers might enjoy knowing that, due to the censorship standards at the time, the famous scene of Grant and Bergman in bed together was cleverly shot, using a split screen to imply intimacy without breaking the rules. Indiscreet is a feel-good romantic comedy filled with charm, elegance, and humor. It's the perfect film when you need something light, comforting, and irresistibly romantic. Proof that sometimes all you need is 2 legendary actors falling in love on screen. It Happened One Night, 1934. People who are very into film and the history of film will likely know about Frank Capra's screwball romantic comedy, It Happened One Night. However, more casual fans of movies likely have not seen it, or maybe have never even heard of it. Clark Gable stars as a renegade reporter, while Claudette Colbert stars as a runaway heiress who meet by chance on a bus, headed from Miami to New York. They end up stuck with one another after the bus leaves a rest stop without them. The two of them wind up on a wild journey throughout the East Coast involving hitchhiking, pretending to be a married couple, and spending the night outside on a farm. There is a scene in the movie where Colbert's character, in an attempt to hitch a ride, sticks her bare leg out on the road to get a male driver's attention after Gable's failed attempt to get anyone's attention. This is a scene that has been recreated many times, though many people probably don't realize where it originated from. Charade, 1963. Surely the most Hitchcockian film not to be written or directed by Alfred Hitchcock, Charade follows Regina Lamper, Audrey Hepburn, in her return to Paris after falling for a man named Peter Joshua, Cary Grant, on a skiing trip in the French Alps. However, she discovers that her husband has been murdered, leading her and Peter to be chased by three of her husband's World War II buddies, who are after $250,000 they had stolen behind enemy lines. Even more peculiar is that Peter keeps changing his name. Charade is an absolute blast from start to finish. It's a murder mystery with plenty of comical moments. It's a shame that Grant and Hepburn weren't in any more movies together, because they make an outstanding pair. Their comedic timing bounces off each other smoothly, and they are able to ease into more serious moments just as easily. Their chemistry is captivating, which amplifies both the humorous and the thriller aspects of the film. Well, it's enough talking about the most underrated movies. Let's talk about the best movies that Golden Era have ever produced. The list is exhaustive. This video is short, so we will be talking about only the 6 that are ranked by the voting. Well, you may not agree with our rating and ranking. The Holly and the Ivy. The Holly and the Ivy is a poignant British drama adapted from a successful West End stage play. Directed by George Moore O'Farrell, the film stars Ralph Richardson, Celia Johnson, and Margaret Leighton, delivering deeply emotional performances. The story revolves around a traditional family gathering during Christmas in a quiet English village. Every year, the family reunites at the home of the patriarch, Reverend Martin Gregory, played by Richardson, to celebrate the holiday. However, this year, the festive atmosphere is overshadowed by unspoken tensions and unresolved conflicts simmering beneath the surface. Each family member arrives burdened with personal struggles and hidden resentments. As old wounds resurface and secrets slowly unravel, the family must confront their issues and find a way to reconnect. Miracle on 34th Street. Miracle on 34th Street is a cherished Christmas classic in the United States, captivating audiences for generations with its heartwarming story. The film begins on Thanksgiving Day in New York City, where the man scheduled to play Santa Claus in the iconic Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade arrives intoxicated. In a twist of fate, a kind and jolly elderly man named Kris Kringle, played by Edmund Gwenn, is hired to step in as Santa. His genuine warmth, kindness, and convincing portrayal quickly win over customers at the Macy's 34th Street store, bringing joy to children and adults alike. However, Chris's claim that he is the real Santa Claus raises concerns. His boss, Doris Walker, played by Maureen O'Hara, initially sees him as a potential problem for the company. This leads to a legal battle questioning Chris's sanity and the very spirit of Christmas. The film beautifully explores themes of belief, kindness, and the magic of the holiday season. Bundle of Joy. Bundle of Joy is a delightful holiday musical that perfectly captures the festive spirit with its charming story and lively musical numbers. A remake of the 1939 film Bachelor Mother, this version stars real-life Hollywood couple Eddie Fisher and Debbie Reynolds, whose on-screen chemistry adds warmth and authenticity to the film. Debbie Reynolds plays Polly Parrish, a hard-working salesgirl at a New York City department store who suddenly finds herself unemployed just before Christmas. However, her life takes an unexpected turn when she discovers an abandoned baby on the store's doorstep. In a twist of fate, Polly is mistakenly believed to be the baby's mother and is rehired by the store. Things spiral into comedic chaos when the baby is further mistaken as the child of the store owner's son, Dan Merlin, played by Eddie Fisher. As Polly and Dan are thrown together in a series of misunderstandings, sparks begin to fly, leading to a blossoming romance. The film is filled with joyful musical performances, particularly showcasing Fisher's smooth vocals, making it a perfect backdrop for the holiday season. Bundle of Joy is a heartwarming blend of comedy, romance, and music that continues to charm audiences as a feel-good Christmas classic. White Christmas. White Christmas, 1954, is a beloved holiday classic that beautifully combines music, comedy, and heartfelt storytelling. Starring Bing Crosby and Danny Kaye, the film opens during World War II in Europe, where Captain Bob Wallace, Crosby, a former Broadway star, teams up with Private Phil Davis, Kaye, to put on a morale-boosting show for their fellow soldiers. Their shared love for performing sparks a lifelong friendship, and after the war, the duo becomes a successful act, producing and starring in their own musical productions. As Christmas approaches, Wallace and Davis cross paths with the talented Haynes sisters, played by Rosemary Clooney and Vera Ellen. The group travels to Vermont, only to discover that their former commanding officer, General Waverly, is struggling to keep his inn afloat due to a lack of snow and declining business. Moved by his plight, they decide to stage a spectacular holiday show to save the inn and honor the general's service. Filled with iconic songs, including the timeless title track White Christmas, dazzling dance numbers, and heartfelt moments, the film celebrates friendship, love, and the spirit of giving. White Christmas remains a timeless holiday favorite, cherished for its warmth, charm, and musical magic. It's a Wonderful Life. It's a Wonderful Life, 1946, is now regarded as one of the most cherished holiday films of all time, but its journey to becoming a classic was far from immediate. Before it was adapted into a movie, the story went through several iterations, starting as a self-published book and drawing inspiration from Charles Dickens' timeless novella, A Christmas Carol. Upon its initial release, the film was a box office disappointment, failing to recoup its production costs. However, its fortunes changed dramatically when it entered the public domain, allowing television networks to air it frequently during the holiday season. This consistent exposure helped the film gain widespread recognition and appreciation. James Stewart stars as George Bailey, a man overwhelmed by life's hardships and on the brink of ending his life. His despair prompts heaven to send Clarence, a guardian angel played by Henry Travers, who must help George rediscover his purpose in order to earn his wings. Through a series of heartfelt moments, George comes to realize how profoundly he has impacted the lives of others, ultimately understanding that life, despite its challenges, is truly wonderful. The film's enduring themes of hope, compassion, and community continue to resonate with audiences, making it a timeless holiday staple. City Lights, 1931. City Lights is one of Charlie Chaplin's most beloved films and a masterpiece of silent cinema. Released in 1931, at a time when talkies were dominating Hollywood, Chaplin boldly stuck with the silent format, and it paid off. Chaplin not only starred in the film but also wrote, directed, produced, and composed the music. The story follows his iconic character, the tramp, who falls in love with a blind flower girl, Virginia Cherrill, and befriends a wealthy but troubled man. The tramp goes to great lengths to help the girl regain her sight, leading to one of the most heartwarming and emotional endings in film history. Though it didn't win any Academy Awards, the film has been widely regarded as one of the greatest films ever made. Fun fact, Chaplin reportedly did over 300 takes to capture a single scene with the flower girl. Its blend of comedy and deep emotional resonance makes City Lights a shining example of Hollywood's golden era brilliance. Modern Times, 1936. Modern Times is another iconic work from Charlie Chaplin, blending sharp social commentary with his signature slapstick comedy. Released in 1936, the film explores the struggles of the working class during the Great Depression. Chaplin's tramp character battles the dehumanizing effects of industrialization, working on assembly lines and facing unemployment. Along the way, he meets the gamin, Paulette Goddard, a poor orphan girl, and together they try to find happiness in a harsh, mechanized world. Chaplin's critique of capitalism and modern industry was bold for its time, and his use of sound effects, but not spoken dialogue, was a clever nod to the emerging sound era. Though it didn't win any awards, it's now considered a cinematic treasure. Did you know Chaplin composed the film's theme song, Smile, which later became a popular hit with lyrics? Modern Times is a timeless classic that still feels relevant today. Bringing Up Baby, 1938. Bringing Up Baby is the epitome of screwball comedy and a must-watch from Hollywood's golden age. Directed by Howard Hawks, it stars Katharine Hepburn and Cary Grant in a whirlwind of chaos, misunderstandings, and a pet leopard named Baby. Grant plays a bumbling paleontologist, Dr. David Huxley, trying to secure funding for his museum. Enter Hepburn's character, Susan Vance, a free-spirited heiress who turns his orderly life upside down. Though it wasn't a box office success upon release, it's now celebrated for its rapid-fire dialogue, hilarious situations, and electric chemistry between the leads. Hepburn's comedic timing was so good that it changed how audiences viewed her as an actress. No major awards were won, but its influence on romantic comedies is undeniable. Trivia. Cary Grant improvised the famous line, "I just went gay all of a sudden," one of the first uses of gay in this context on film. Remember the Night, 1940. Remember the Night is a hidden gem among holiday films, blending romance, drama, and comedy in a way that only the Golden Age could. Directed by Mitchell Leisen and written by the legendary Preston Sturges, the film stars Barbara Stanwyck as Lee Leander, a shoplifter, and Fred McMurray as John Sargent, the assistant district attorney prosecuting her case. With Christmas approaching, John decides to take Lee home for the holidays instead of leaving her in jail, leading to unexpected romance and heartfelt moments. Though it didn't rake in awards, the film was a critical success and remains a holiday favorite. It was also the first pairing of Stanwyck and McMurray, who would reunite for the classic noir Double Indemnity. Trivia. Sturges originally intended to direct the film himself, but was persuaded to hand it over to Leisen, leading Sturges to pursue directing his own scripts afterward. Remember the Night perfectly balances humor and heart, making it one of the golden era's most underrated treasures. The Wizard of Oz, 1939. The Wizard of Oz is perhaps the most magical film to come out of Hollywood's golden age. Released in 1939 and directed by Victor Fleming, the film stars Judy Garland as Dorothy Gale, a Kansas farm girl whisked away to the vibrant land of Oz. With her little dog Toto, Dorothy embarks on a journey down the yellow brick road to meet the wizard and find her way home. Along the way, she befriends the Scarecrow, Ray Bolger, the Tin Man, Jack Haley, and the Cowardly Lion, Bert Lahr, while evading the Wicked Witch of the West, Margaret Hamilton. The film was a box office success and won 2 Academy Awards for Best Original Song, Over the Rainbow, and Best Original Score. Fun trivia. The iconic ruby slippers were originally silver in the book, but changed to red to show off Technicolor. Though not initially a massive financial success, repeated television airings cemented The Wizard of Oz as one of the most beloved films of all time. Each of these films showcases why the golden era of Hollywood was such a magical time for cinema. From Chaplin's heartfelt comedies to Hepburn and Grant's chaotic romance, these classics continue to influence and inspire filmmakers and audiences alike.